welcome. The show will be starting in approximately 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and I'm happy that you're here, and you'll be able to see my beautiful face in about 4 minutes or so. Anyway, I'm glad I'm doing another show this evening. And there's a couple of things you should know. If you're watching this in replay, you can just fast forward right to the beginning of the show and skip all of this stuff for the next 4 minutes. But if you're going to be here watching the show, know that there's a couple of ways you can watch it. So you can watch it on my website, which is knowtobestill.com/podcast, or you can watch it on Facebook or YouTube. And there you can send emojis, and on Facebook you can make comments and send emojis. So I'm really looking forward to you doing that. I really do like your input during this show. This is not meant to be just me talking or just me doing poetry. It's supposed to prompt some conversation between us and these difficult conversations. Now also know that this is a safe place. It's a safe place. So no question is a bad question, and you will never be judged or ridiculed for any question that you have. I will always try to answer your question to the best of my ability, and you can ask just about anything. So that'd be cool. So we've got about another 2 minutes and 30 minutes, and the show will be starting, so please stand by. We have about another 2 minutes till showtime. Also on Facebook, there will be a link. So if you want to be on the show, you want to talk to me, and you want to be seen or be seen, all you have to do is click that link. Also during the show, there'll be a QR code. And if you just click that with your phone, that is really a fast way to get on the show where I can talk to you and see you, and we can have a conversation. Also, if you are a musician or a painter or any type of a sculptor, I guess I'm going to be tongue-tied tonight. Any of the arts, I welcome you to come to the show and be part of the show. Because we can use our art and any type of art to be everyday activists. So remember that. And this is your platform also. So if you've been having a hard time getting yourself out there and to be seen and heard, come here. Come to Poetic People Fighting Racism. All right, the show will be starting in about 30 seconds. So please stand by. Hey, I am here again. It's been 2 weeks. So let's get started. What am I doing here? Gee, something's out of order. Let me get my papers in order. So welcome. Welcome to Poetic People Fighting Racism. I'm your host, Anthony Cordova, Tony C., the man about love. I'm just trying to spread a little love every day with activism living inside me. So what in the world can I do, can we do, can you do with just another online show? Let's see where we go when we know what we feel is real. Let's show how we deal with real discrimination. Let's show how we use what we have with poetry. Let's show how we live with real racism, taking our breath away while taking our lives away. Every day we wake, we take steps to make us better and stronger the longer we live with poetry in our souls as we grow old and wise. This is why we're on this journey, because we're seen as the others, not brothers and sisters. They got us playing Twister, just waiting for us to topple down, always trying to keep us underground, but we keep rising and standing for our rights. We already have. So let's do what we do with love and poetry. Every day we can be the change we need, because we are everyday people, creative, smart, and strong people. Poetic people fighting racism, we are. Poetic people fighting racism, that's you, that's me, we are. Poetic people fighting racism, we are. Poetic people fighting racism. Poetic people fighting racism, we are. So welcome. Here we are again. So hello. Welcome to another episode of Poetic People Fighting Racism. Tonight, the topic is, and what we're going to be talking about, and I'm going to do a couple of poems tonight. Are we imprisoned or free? That's a good question. Most of us would say we're free, but we'll examine that a little bit more as we get into the show. Now, there's a couple of things I want you to know, that this show is for everyone. It doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are. It doesn't matter where you come from, what country you come from. This is a safe place for us to have these discussions about what goes on in this country and how we have to live in this country. And hopefully we can make a difference. With this show, I consider myself to be an everyday activist. I do what I can. So you don't see me on television. You don't see me in all of these different places on platforms, but you will see me here doing what I can do to hopefully make some change and hopefully get a conversation started, because we cannot get better. We cannot learn about each other unless we talk to each other without fighting with each other. Now, also, you can see the QR code up, and it's Talk to Me Live. So if you want to talk to me during this show where I can hear you and possibly see you, but if you don't want to be seen, all you have to do is choose not to turn on your camera. But the easiest way to get on the show is just scan this QR code and you'll be here, and we'll see you pop up, and I will announce you when I'm ready to talk. Now, also, feel free to make comments on Facebook, and comments or questions. And we can go back and forth that way if you don't really want to be live on the show and you don't want everyone to see you. So that's okay too. But again, it's a safe place. I will never do anything to make you feel uncomfortable. I'm all about love, and I want us to love each other and have love for each other. And we'll learn that some of these trivial things we go through in life aren't really that important. What's important is the connection we have with each other. Big time important. Now, let's see. Is there anything I'm forgetting before I get started? Now, tonight I'm going to do two poems, and one is called Black Lives in Prison, and the other one is called Victims. Now, what I'm going to do is these poems come from my manuscript, Living and Dying, and I'm going to do these two poems consecutively. So one is just going to run right into the other, and I think you'll be able to figure out where one ends and one starts. But they run together, so that'll be pretty cool. And typically in the show, after I do the poems, I open the floor to questions or comments, and you can comment while I am doing the poem if you wish. If you wish. But if you don't wish, it's okay too. See, because I'm going to do this show either way. Either way. It's my part of being an everyday activist, and this is what I do. Now, in this poem, in many of the poems in my manuscript, I make reference to the blue and white eyes. Now, the blue and white eyes are not necessarily people with blue and white eyes, but these are the people with European blood and white skin that believe they are superior to anyone else that is not of European descendant or is not of a white color. Okay. So it does not mean that every person with white skin is a blue and white eye. So typically the people that are racist, those are the blue and white eyes. Those are who I'm referring to. So unless there's anything else, Jill, is there anything I need to talk about? And she has shaken her head no. So I will get right into the poems, and this is Black Lives in Prison and Victims. So let's push some buttons and get started. The wicked blue and white eyes will do anything, will say anything, will lie about anything to keep their power over us, to impose their power on us. They will arrest us for anything, for something we did not do. They will arrest us too many times for something they caused us to do. They will do anything, they will say anything, they will lie about anything to put black lives in prison, to keep black lives in prison. Too many black lives in prison. Black lives in prison longer than any other race in prison, more than any other race in prison. Too many black lives in prison. Black lives in prison and free labor in prison and black lives in prison. Blue and white eyes capitalize on stolen lives of black lives in prison. See white wealth in living black bodies, living locked in prison, black lives in prison. Too many black lives in prison. Black lives in prison, kept by visions of dollar signs and greedy minds of racist minds towards our people, resulting in too many black lives in prison, with visions of being free, being able to breathe without the bars, without the chains, trying to remain sane within the confines of prison. Hard to keep living, knowing the hard times and hard living and the pain of prison. Black lives in prison. Too many black lives in prison. Black lives in prison, living and dying the confines of bars, before and after being locked in and locked out behind white bars, trying to make a life before and after the life that follows the black life condition. After a short or long stint in prison, anywhere we go, we try to live, we try to breathe, we try to work. There's not enough money to live. Black lives in prison. For the rest of our lives, anywhere we try to start our lives, locked in and locked out, cursed for life, never being free from incarceration, see? We keep being locked out and locked in the American criminal system, never being free, see? We keep being locked in and locked out by the American caste system. Black lives in prison, see? Too many black lives in prison. Black lives in prison, locked out from the rewards of life, locked out from prosperous dreams, can't punch our way out of systemic systems after being torn down, living in paddy wagons for life after time spent in prison. Trying to walk with enslaved eyes facing the sky, living locked in and locked out, living and dying, black lives in prison, see? Too many black lives in prison, behind white bars, searching and working and living and breathing and crying and living and dying as slaves in cages for months and years after the end of tears. Living in the blue and white eyes for profit prison, black lives in prison. Too many black lives in prison, too many black lives in prison, too many black lives enslaved. Till the powers to be set our people free. An illusion created for us to believe, see? And it's not much different than before, and it's not much different than today. Too many black lives enslaved, too many black lives in prison, see? It's an elaborate system the blue and white eyes created, wherein we are outcast, cast out and kept out. We are the victims of bats and bricks and fire hoses, the victims of public buses and the seats we can't sit in. We are the victims of white-only signs and nighttime crimes by hooded men, the victims of police dogs and racial slurs and restaurant sit-ins. We are the victims of burning crosses in sundown towns. We are the victims of slavery and crimes against humanity. The victims of systemic racism and America's caste system. We are the victims of the days we live and die in, dying to see the days we die lessen. We are the victims praying to see the day we see without seeing the hatred we live in. We are the black lives they see as less than, just living and dying for the color of our skin. We are citizens of this country of lies that we live in. We are the citizens it seems they can't stop killing. Like a addiction, like an inclination to kill black citizens for the melanin in our skin, the darkness of our skin. We are the victims of the blue and white eyes and their hatred for black lives in this country of lies where we live and die in. We are the victims. We are the victims. And it's not all in our heads. It's not all in our heads. It's not. We are the victims. All right, that is it. That is it. That was 2 poems there. And I hope you all enjoyed it. Now, I don't see any questions or comments in the audience. No one wants to chime in on all of this. So what I typically do is I go through key points of the poem, things that I believe I need to focus on a little bit more, just so we can get clear on it. So I will start with Black Lives in Prison. And let's see if I can choose something to start with. I'm going to start with too many Black lives in prison. Black lives in prison longer than any other race in prison, more than any other race in prison. So it is factual that there are more black men in prison than any other racial group, any other color in the country. Now, a person may say, well, black people commit more crimes. That may not be accurate. Black people are often targeted. So the moment a police officer, and it doesn't matter whether the police officer is white or black or Asian or Polish, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Um, Officers are trained that it's more likely that a black person is committing a crime than a white person. So a black person can just be walking down the street and a cop can decide, oh, they look suspicious. Maybe they look suspicious because of the clothes they're wearing. Maybe they look suspicious because of their hair. Maybe, and this is a big one. This is a big one. Maybe the black person fits the description of someone that committed a crime. Maybe. And it seems that, all black people look alike. Who knew? All black people look alike. So, if all black people look alike, then of course a black person will fit the description of another black person. Because, yeah, I definitely look like every other black person. I'm the same height as every other black person. I am the same complexion of every other black person. I have the same hairstyle of every other black person. So it's more likely that a black person is going to be stopped and harassed for something they didn't do, which is I have later on in the poem. So we end up in prison. And there are a lot of innocent people in prison. And then there's some people that maybe they're not innocent and they're in prison. But maybe the same crime that they committed, that if a white person committed the same crime, they wouldn't do any prison time. Maybe the white person has more money or has family that has more money, or maybe they know people. But quite often that is not the case for black people. And I can go so deep into this for such a long time, but I'm going to move on from that. So let's continue. Okay. Black lives in prison and free labor in prison. What do I mean by that? Free labor in prison. Okay, well we've seen work crews, prison work crews on the side of the road cleaning up and all of that. Yeah, and we're used to seeing that. But I'm sure a lot of you don't know. And I know this for a fact because I have been there. firsthand. There are many prisons that make products. And I'm not talking about just license plates, okay? They make flooring, like flooring, like your hardwood floor and your laminate floors. A lot of prisons make those products. Think about it. It's like free labor. And how do you create wealth? Now imagine if you had a business and you didn't have to pay your employees. You would make a big profit. Yes, you would. So do some research on that. Look to see how many different types of products are being made in prison. There's a lot of things. There's shoes being made in prison. Just a lot of things get made in prison. So, so many things get done in prison that make a profit for someone else. It's factual. So the more people you have in prison, the more free labor you have. But then when we talk about for-profit prisons, it's literally exactly that. It's a prison made, designed to make a profit. So for every person they have in prison, the company gets paid. So the more people you have in prison and the more people you keep in prison. So you have prisoners that are getting ready to be released. And then it comes to their release day and somehow they do not get released. The paperwork gets lost. Or they'll specifically do things to cause the prisoner to do something wrong. And days and months and years get added to their sentence. It's a way to keep them there. So these things really happen. And to say, oh, well, they're just criminals, they're just prisoners. We're still human beings. And I'm not saying some people deserve to be in prison. Some people have done crimes where definitely they should be behind bars. But there are a lot of innocent people or in prison doing time for petty crimes. Like petty crimes. People doing years and years and years because they got caught with less than an ounce of marijuana. Really? You know, marijuana wasn't even illegal at one time until the government realized that a lot of black musicians, famous black musicians, like to smoke marijuana. So they made it illegal. Another way to keep black people in check and to keep famous black people in check. Oh, wow. I don't know how long I can go with this tonight because this is really, oh man, it just really hurts me. I go on, but Blue and White Eyes capitalize on stolen lives of black lives in prison and see the white wealth in living black bodies. The more black people that are in prison, the more money they make. Let's see What else have I got? I'm gonna try to move on quickly. Um, Let me go down to okay. Trying to make a life before and after the life that follows the black life condition after a short or long stint in prison. Anywhere we go, we try to live, we try to breathe, we try to work. There's not enough money to live. Black lives in prison. So even after a person has done their time, they're rehabilitated. But gee, they can't get a job because they were in prison. They can't make enough money to live because they were in prison. It's hard for them to do anything because of their prison record. Now, I had a friend, or I have a friend, that was in prison. And he told me, there's no way I'm going back to prison. And he stuck to that. But I remember him calling me and say, "Hey, I can't get a job. Where can I go? Where can I find a job?" And I know the type of places that hire people that have been in prison. So, like at a junkyard, someone that has went to prison can get a job at a junkyard or a scrap yard or places like that. And they're paid minimum wage. Um, and it's like they have no rights at these jobs. They get treated awful. So there's no sick days or anything else. I mean, you can lose your job if you're sick. And really, there's not enough money to live. So a person out of prison that's working at a junkyard or working somewhere else where they pay them under the table, but they have no rights as an employee. It's an awful thing. It's an awful way to live. And how do you make any money? Maybe they do something illegal just to survive. Now, the friend of mine did not. And it took him probably 10 to 15 years to be able to make enough money to really support himself in a halfway decent way. Black lives in prison, you know. Uh okay, Jill, did you have a question or comment?
We have an audience member
We do. Oh, who do
who
we have? I see camera 3, but we should be able to hear them. Who is it, Jill?
I will I think it is Lucinda. I think her mic is off, or is it?
You have to press
Yeah.
that little. There we go. That should do it.
Okay, Lucinda, we should be able to hear you.
Okay. Hey.
There, we do hear you. Hello, Lucinda.
Hello. Hello. How you guys doing?
We are doing wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. And Lucinda is one of our favorite people. And she does great things for poets, and she is a poet herself. So, being that you are a poet,
Oh.
do
Oh
you have
boy.
do you have something to read for us this evening?
Uh Actually I do. I let's see. I completed a reading over in Aiken earlier today with Aiken poets, and it was just phenomenal. So I was just excited as we're doing your program tonight, and I actually do have a poem.
Wonderful.
And so let me see if I can. I don't have my camera on because I've got to put my glasses on. I realized I didn't go through my.
That's okay. That's okay. Just I mean, we can hear you. Your audio is great, so we're ready.
Okay, then I will get right to it.
Cool.
The title of my poem is New Normal, Taking Control for the Doers. The day begins with the same ritual. Open eyes, remember what day it is, drink coffee or detox tea. Turn on my devices. You, listener, pick one for this reading. I have them all. I quickly learn about how cruel, uncaring, then caring the world is. I send a post to affirm our humanity. Turning down the sound, I get to work. Upon the opening of email, I get a notification about my do not disturb setting. I click it off. The beeps, chimes, and jingles pop up. The phone begins to ring. The beep reminds me of the things I have on a to-do list. The chimes tell me I have things people have shared for me to view. The jingle is for the people I've selected to check on. The whoosh is for email. The phone, this is a different story. It rings and rings with calls from people I do not know, but they seem to think they know me and that they have something I need or should care about. I stopped wondering so long ago how they got my number or how they got through the blocked caller setting. I get a pop-up summary of how many of these calls have been blocked. By noon, I realize I probably should get dressed. By 3, I am finally dressed, trying to remember where I was supposed to go. By 6, I have regained control. Too late. It's time to binge crowdcast, webinars, or Zoom sessions. Vow to do better tomorrow. The next day, I wake, drink water instead of coffee. I ignore the beeps, chimes, ringing phone and email. I set to complete one task, getting dressed and getting out. But I have nowhere to go. Everything and everywhere I used to go is now online. So I sit quietly in my garden, watching the clouds, listening to the birds, playing with my pups, until one of my devices, set improperly, reminds me I have so much to get done. Today, I ignore it and wrote this poem instead. That's it.
Ariel, that woo!
Woo! That was fantastic.
Bravo, bravo. We love it. And just for everyone else that's listening, this is what we want. This is what this show is about. And now I would love to discuss this poem with you, Lucinda. I
Okay.
I really like I really enjoyed it from the very beginning because you really did establish life, and not life just for you. This is my opinion, but life for most people, because I believe that we are the same. People are basically the same. We're different, but we're all people. We're all human beings. We all have our lives. And I love that you started out with the same thing, but then also you see the cruelty um, in this world. So when you went to cruelty, uh, what images did you see or were you seeing when you approached the poem that way?
Well, normally when you wake up in the morning, if you're preparing for the day, you want to see what the weather is like and see what's happening in your area. But lately, and it feels like it's been at least the last year or so, every time you turn on some sort of device to get what's happening in the world, there's some war, some child, someone's been shot, someone's been murdered. There's just, I mean, it's like you have to really focus in to try and just wait for the weather. And now here where I'm at in Augusta, the pollen has been just so there's not even any relief from
Uh huh.
from Mother Nature. But yeah, but then every now and then, depending on how you get your news for the day, they come in with a good story. They talk about,
Right.
something that's happened where a person has done an act of kindness to someone else.
Uh
And
huh.
so, yeah, yeah. But it's pretty rough. Depending when you first get in there, they're rehashing some horror that's
Mm-hmm.
taken place somewhere in the world.
Yeah, and I agree. Even though this show, I focus on racism in this country and discrimination and all of these things that are going on, but all of these things are also going on throughout the world. Um, Wars over religion, wars over just land and power. Um, all of these things are an example of a constant example and reminder that we don't know how to love each other. Um, and that you see that, when you wake up and you feel that. Also, with your poem, whether with emails or the calls you get throughout the day where there's people trying to sell you stuff or get you to do something or all of this. Um, it's like, what kind of life are we living uh, where we can barely have any peace, even when we're trying to just be? So yeah, I was getting a lot um, from your poem, and I mean it was so wonderful. So, are there any particular spots in the poem that I know all of it hits home for you, but are there things in the poem that you feel more strongly about than some possibly some other things?
I would say when I referenced how I have the do not disturb setting on,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not careful, you could go to sleep, and if you have your phone right near, or in the room where you sleep, you could get phone calls, people who want to get you first thing in the morning. They want to make sure that what is it? The early bird catches the
The
worm.
worm.
So they,
Yeah.
they're like, okay, you're on their to-do list to at least call and say, did you get that email? Or, well, I sent you an email. Did you read that email?
Yeah.
Well, so um, that because I was in a period where just working nonstop, so you forget to turn all that off.
Right.
Um, but with regards to what was it? Let's see about the about the the blocking of calls. We're
Right.
in an election year, and you reference things like, you like to talk about racism and social justice. I think that we're having a replay of a situation that took place, what, maybe, well, at least 4 years ago,
Hmm.
where the same two guys, the same two ideologies are running, and but there's one major thing that's taken place that is impacting, from what I understand, more people of color. It's healthcare based, but it's also the right for women to have control over their bodies. I think that I referenced the wars earlier, but I think that that's the cruelest thing that is happening in
Hmm.
America right now. And being a woman of color, I grow weary of hearing that if it's bad, if you are a woman of color, it is worse for you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so everything that's impacting, it's bad for everybody else. But if you are a person of color, oh, how can you even get out of bed? So to
Right.
tie in
Right.
to your theme, and so it's not just racism, but it's sexism. It's gender specific, very much so.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree with you 100%. Uh, and it's all about control and power. So if we are, I talk about the caste system in the United States here, and a lot of people don't believe that there's a caste system. But, you know, black people are on the bottom. Okay. Then you have black women on the bottom also. And then you go to women are also down there and on that ladder. Uh, so to want to control what a woman can do with their body is just all about power. Um, Women have done so many things to just gain some rights, equity, equality in the workplace. Uh, Most of the smartest people I know are women,
Two snaps for you, Tony. Two snaps.
right? And I'm serious. I'm not just saying that. Most of the smartest women I know are women, but yet these women get paid less.
Mm,
Okay,
yeah,
less than people that are not as smart as them, less than people that are not as educated as them, but yet
yeah,
the women get paid less, and the black women even get paid less.
yeah. Well, my thought on that though, and this takes me to the end of my poem. As a woman of color in America, you can choose to believe that, or you can take control of your situation. You can, and
Absolutely.
yeah, instead of getting all stressed out and just, pulling your hair out and staying under the covers, you get up and you say, today I'm going to do something for myself. I'm going to, sit in my garden. I'm going to turn off all the phones, or I'm just going to do something to help someone else. It all depends.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I meant. Like it's, with the title, it's a new normal. We're taking control. And this is dedicated to those women that you're talking about, the doers.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Fantastic poem. Loved it. And we don't get to hear your work enough, actually.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Taking
Yeah.
control. But you
Hmm.
guys know where are we gonna be in June? I gotta shout it out. Where are we gonna be
Go
June
ahead and
20?
shout it out.
We're gonna be in Roswell, Georgia. June, it was June the 8th. We're going to be there. You guys are going to be there. All the
Okay,
poets.
and what is this event called?
It is called Set Voices Free. It's being put on by the National Society of Federation of Poetry Societies. Yeah, I think that's it.
Excellent. Yes, right.
Yeah.
And Jill, for everyone, Jill and I will be there also. And
Yay.
Jill, what's our official name of our class?
Right, right.
Right? We'll let you know what
Jill's
our
right.
official name of our class that we're doing there. But
Yeah.
I know that it's going to be about using your voice with poetry and different ways that you can accomplish that. And one of the ways you can accomplish that is by doing what I'm doing. Uh, and there's many ways you can do it. So anyway, I
Yeah.
don't want to give
Yeah.
the whole class now.
Yeah. Yeah. But they do have to go to the website and register. And so, but we're looking forward to seeing everybody there. But I think that what you're doing with your program here, giving poets an outlet to actually identify what they've written, it's powerful. That's what I attended the poetry festival over there in Aiken, and a lot of these poets are seniors, and the things that they write about, it merges generations. They're going through something, and they're putting it down in as concise a manner as possible, and they're leaving the interpretation up to the listener. It is a,
Absolutely.
yeah, it is a powerful thing, and I appreciate you getting an understanding from my poem and pulling it into everyday life. But I just want to say to all the young women out there, all the sisters, don't be that sister who becomes depressed or worried about all the bad things that can happen. Just do what you have to do. And when it gets to
Just
be too much, go sit in the garden, go
there
play
you
with your
go.
pups,
Hmm.
turn off all those phones, hang out with a friend. Just like when I hang out with you guys, lots of fun. We laugh a lot. It's always good stuff. And then get back on the grind. Never give up.
Yeah,
Never
because
give up.
this is what we do. Okay, so if you are a person of color in this country and you come from another country, doesn't matter. In this country, if you are other, you have to fight every day to get everything you need. And sometimes you do have to take a breath. Sometimes you do have to just sit back and just take a breath. Ooh.
Woosah.
That's right. And
Woosah.
woosah. Because it's something we go through every day, all of the microaggressions that we have to go through, all of the ladder climbing, uh, and every time we reach for another rung, it breaks
Mm,
uh, because that's the way the system is set up in this country. Um, People will try to knock you down, and they don't even know why.
how about
Be-
that?
yeah, because that is the way this society is.
Yeah.
That's when we're talking about, real systemic uh, type of racism, where it's so ingrained, people don't even know why they do it. They
Mm.
just do it because that's what they're supposed to do in their mind. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that you gotta have the conversation. We've gotta get into mixed rooms, and we've gotta, share our words, share how we feel about things, like you said, respectfully in a calm voice. And I think progress will be made. I really do. I think if we go local, do within our local communities, and then expand out globally, we'll see.
Yeah.
We will see that it's not, we're not alone, first of all, and that, reach one, teach one, and the world gets better.
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. Um, and I would love it. This is a big ask, but some of the poets that were there in Aiken, I would love it for them to come to the show. Uh, and one of the things is that people that are older, and it also depends on what part of the country they grew up in, whether they were in the
Mhm.
South, whether they were in the North, have experienced different things. But what
Yeah.
I've been finding is that the things they uh, uh, experienced 40, 50, 60 years ago, the same things are still going on.
Yeah. But and the thing about it is that it's just like for us as people of color, you experience it one way when you're younger, especially if you have no control, nobody's explaining to you what's going on, and you have a limited uh, perspective. But
Hmm.
as you get older, and as you bring people into the world or children, and as you interact with other people, as you travel, things come into perspective. And I think that that's part of what's going on now too. So like when you're talking about like the systemic racism and how just the discussion of it, and people aren't aware. When you start to discuss it, they say, oh, I always felt that, but I never could put a label on it. Very
Correct.
important that you can label. And so going back to what you mentioned about the Aiken poets, there were 15 poets, and the readings, it was
Wow.
powerful. It stemmed from grieving friends that have been lost to COVID,
Hmm.
to moving to a new area and reconnecting with people. There were young people there talking about what it's like to move through the world now as a parent. All
Right.
myths are off. Your parents look one way when they're paying for everything, but now when you have to take up the mantle and cover for yourself. It's very different. But
Absolutely.
yeah, it was outstanding. And this group stems from a poetry contest that my group, the Poetry Matters Project, we put on. We're in year
Hmm.
24. Shout us out.
Yeah, all
Uh,
right.
and they started winning the contest in a particular category, and they
Oh,
got
cool.
together, they formed their own group, and this is year 9 for them.
Wow.
So they
Bravo.
Yeah, so
Excellent.
yeah. So it's Roger Brock and Joan Lacone. You might know Big Bailey. He's also a spoken word poet. He works with them. Definitely put you in touch. I don't know,
Okay.
where do I put it, Jill? I don't see a chat on this box here, but I'll get the information to you
Uh,
guys.
yeah, it depends on how you're watching us. So,
You
um,
you can just send it directly to
said
me.
that you have Jill's information. But yeah,
Okay,
there's
yeah.
several ways to communicate with us, but it depends what platform you're watching on.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
but yeah, but you know, the story you just told me, and it's all about, and I say it often. If you want to do something, all you have to do is just start. Just take the first step, even if you don't know how to do it. Maybe your
Mhm.
first step is finding out how to do it,
That's
but
right.
just start with
Just
whatever it is. Yeah, just start. Because,
Yeah.
when we started a podcast, I didn't even know what a podcast was. So, and now look at me. See?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It looks really good on my screen. I can actually see it on
yeah, well,
because I had to
thank you.
switch over. Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
All right,
yeah,
but we're just about at the end of the show here. Wow, this has been great. This is
yeah.
fabulous.
Well, we'd love to support. I guess this is probably an educational question. It's better to do it on a laptop, right? Not on iPad or anything like that to get to where you are.
Actually, you can. A lot of people watch on their laptop. Um,
Okay.
but you can watch on your laptop from the website or from YouTube or from Facebook.
Okay. All right.
Either one. But if you want, like you, to talk on the show, the easiest way for you to do it is if you're watching on your laptop, and when we put up the QR code, you can scan it with your phone, and that's real easy for you to get on that way.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. I got it now. That's why I was late. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
All
the
right.
easiest way. But you did it. But you did do it. So thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Yep. You're welcome. You're welcome. And I'll just close out with saying tonight, you are right, Tony. You are right.
That is
See,
just
you're
wrong.
you're
That is just
crossing
wrong.
you're crossing shows over.
That is just wrong.
Oh, is Jill there? Oh, hey, Jill.
She's there. She's there. Jill is my producer on this show. She had turned her mic off already. She's long enough to say that's just wrong. Oh
boy.
my
Okay.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
Well, sweetheart, before you close
Yes.
out, you should tell everyone who you were just talking to.
I thought we did. Lucinda.
Oh, knows.
I said that in the beginning that it was Lucinda. She's a great poet, great woman. And and everyone, she is one of the most intelligent women I know also. She is on that list. So she's
Thank you.
incredible. All right, but we got to start closing this show out. And Lucinda, thank you so much for the poem. And I'm going to start closing this out. Let me see. So there's a couple of things I want to say real quick. I want to remind everyone to be an everyday activist, and I want you to be love and show love. Also, try to do something different tomorrow. Do something different. It doesn't matter what it is. Just do something that you normally don't do. Change your routine. Change something. That is what we would like you to do. Also, the music you're hearing now is called Stand Up Bass, and that's by Tony Bilski. I said his name wrong. Toby Bilski. And you can check him out on beatstar.com if you want to get any of his music. And the music that I played along with the poems I did is called Late, and that's by Rama Lowe, and you can get his music on BeatStar also. Also, let me see, my next show is going to be on May 4th, and I'm going to have a special guest then, and also a poet, a very good poet. And we're going to send you more information on that, so check that out. Let me see, what else have I got? I think that's about it. I just want to say that I love you all. No, that's not about it. I'm supposed to do commercials. Also, check out the Soul Reader with me, Anthony Cordova. You can still get a free reading there, and that's every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, and you can go to knowtobestill.com/podcast, and you can watch that on Facebook and YouTube. Also, check out I'm Right, and that's every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and you can go to jillcox.com, jillcoxcordova.com, and click on the podcast tab. And let's see. So now I'm getting ready to say bye, y'all. We'll check you out next time. I love you all. Thank you for watching, and until May 4th, I'll see you again. Love you. Bye.